everyone. No, welcome to See the World with Ajala Nene, and this is our guest section. And today I have one of my tourism daddies here with us. Don't blush, don't blush, don't blush. And I call him Ajala Nana. You know I'm Ajala Nene, and his own is Ajala Nana. That's the name we give ourselves. And we have Dr. Raph James. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, then let me read your bio. Just a bit of your bio because your bio is very deep. So I'll just read small. Dr. Raph, yes, he's a doctor. James is the founder and director general of the Center for Research, Information, and Media Development, also known as CRIMMD. And he's the first to establish a library in 2004, pardon me, at Ejigbo, but later advanced it into what we see now as a non-political, non-governmental, non-profit making, but standard research development institute. He's also the publisher of two magazines, namely the African Dame and the National Biographer magazines. He has written 56, I think, or more manuscripts.
Yeah,
More than
just
56
one
now.
extra, 57 by now.
57, okay. 57 manuscripts and published. It's more than 24 now.
No, just 24.
It's just 24.
Yeah.
I thought it was another book coming
I've
out.
not published any
We are waiting.
lately.
So 56 manuscripts and 24 published books. He has also donated over 50,000 books to the public since
Presently, 67,000 books.
67,000 books now to the public since 2008 when he started his book donation to help bring back the reading culture in our society. Ajala Nanasa.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome on board.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for being here. I'm honored.
Well, I think I feel more honored to be your
Yeah,
guest.
gosh. Okay, well, I'll take it like that. So, sir, the question I always ask our guests is, how did you get here? Why the tourism space? Why tourism?
For me, I should say tourism has been part of my life. Growing up as a young man, one of the things I used to tell my friends is that I like adventure. So I love traveling. I can recall the very first time I made an attempt to travel all alone on my own was 1982. I was still in secondary school then.
I wasn't born.
Yeah, I was still in secondary school. In fact, my very first attempt was 1977. But then why I'm not going to emphasize on 1977 was because my auntie took me to the park, Chidebere Motors, and placed me inside the vehicle with my little cousin and told the driver to take care of us when we get to Lagos.
So you guys did not explore.
We did not explore. But 1982, I heard over the radio then, I think Rivers FM Port Harcourt, that Temeko Juku was coming back to Nigeria and he was landing in Enugu. So I left school for Enugu to go and see Emeko Juku. I didn't have any guide. I didn't have anywhere to stay.
Who told you to just get up and go like that?
I just wanted to see this
Like,
guy.
how old are you, sir?
I should be around maybe 16, 17 or so then.
Young man like that?
Yes.
Just carry yourself.
I just took that risk. I didn't know anywhere, so I slept in the railway station. Following morning, I went to the airport. I saw Juku from a distance, and everybody was waving. In fact, you know what? I was so carried away that I climbed on top of an armored tank, a military armored tank, without realizing I was on top of the tank.
Wow.
Until the soldiers now noticed, who is this bloody civilian here? And they pushed me down from the top.
Boy like that.
Oh my God. So that was my very first attempt. Now, subsequently after then, I think I enjoyed traveling because then I used to travel by train. And then it was a big deal for us young guys. You know, you enter the train without paying a ticket. So you hang by the door and you keep hiding when they come in to collect tickets. So it became part of me. And I entered the university. It continued like that. So for me, it has been part of me.
Okay, sir. So, the books. What's with you on books? I know. I remember you have a Christmas book. Christmas tree
Christmas tree book, yes. I love reading books. I discovered at the tender age
Did
that...
it help with your travel?
Oh,
Reading the
of
books?
course, a whole lot. In fact, it helped in practically everything I've done in life. I also recall 1978 was the first time I read Things Fall Apart. It was not a recommended text. Yeah, an uncle of mine who was doing his NYC came back from camp and was telling my auntie about his girlfriend in Calabar, how he visited a girlfriend and the girlfriend was preparing a dikaiko and he was reading Things Fall Apart. And you know, I was so carried away with the narrative he was giving. So I was peeling cassava on the floor. So I used the knife I was using to peel cassava to write on the floor.
Things fall apart.
Things fall apart. In fact, this is what I wrote: Chinua Achebe by Things Fall Apart.
The opposite.
The other way around. So by the time I finished peeling cassava, I have used my leg to clean part of what I wrote on the floor. So I couldn't really remember the name, but I remember things and things falling apart and all that. So I scribbled that down. So the next day I went to school. We used to have just one store in my village. It was a general store for whatever you need. So I went to meet the guy and I told him I wanted to buy Chinua Achebe by Things Fall Apart. So he went to town the next day, and interestingly, he bought it 3 kobo. I remember very well.
Wow.
I still have that particular edition with me. So
is it in our museum?
yes. So I read it, and it changed my life completely.
How?
Well, reading through Things Fall Apart, I came to realize that the Okonkwo was out to be a man. And he told himself that he was not going to be anything that his father was. Because,
sorry, sir. For
yeah.
those who don't know Things Fall Apart,
Okay.
we have some young children.
Yeah, okay. Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart is a book written by Chinua Achebe. In fact, it's one of the most popular books among all his books, and it has been translated in over 300 languages across the world. So, Chinua Achebe told us about Okonkwo and his father, Onoka. And Okonkwo saw his father as a lazy man because he was always playing music and not, and this music thing has a season. It only comes during the particular season. So for me, I said, okay, if that is the case, I'm not going to do anything that I think is not going to profit me in the future. So there are certain things I felt my dad was doing, which I said I wasn't going to do. For example, I don't take alcohol. My father was taking alcohol. So I said, okay, I'm not going to take alcohol. I want to be like Okonkwo. But today, I can actually tell you in good authority, I've come to realize more than that Okonkwo, Onoka, the father, wasn't really lazy. It's not that he found himself in a profession that was seasonal. So he could only play his music when that particular time comes. So I grew up loving books. I started reading, I started writing, and what prompted me to write my very first book. My dad, like I said, used to drink and was a smoker. I wanted my dad to quit smoking. So I kept on preaching to him. I said, stop smoking, and he wasn't really working. So I said, okay, I'm going to write a book on how to stop smoking. And that was how I wrote my first book. My first book was titled The Why and How of Quitting Cigarette Smoking. And interestingly, let me tell you this, for those who are listening, it encouraged me somewhat because it taught me something about life. I just finished secondary school and I had a book, and I wanted the Honorable Minister of Health, serving Minister of Health in Nigeria, Professor Luke Erasumkwiti, to write the foreword for me. And I went to Ikoyi, I went to Federal Secretariat Ikoyi to see the minister. I was young. I didn't know anyway. It was my first time in Ikoyi. So, but somehow, because my dad had challenged me that it wasn't going to be possible for me to see a minister, I promised myself I was going to do it. So eventually, I went to the ministry 22 times, covering a period of 3 months.
Wow.
So every time I had transport fare, I would travel down to Ikoyi when my dad goes to work. Eventually, on the 23rd time, I eventually met with the minister.
How?
Yeah, I met him. I was in his office waiting. Already, I knew practically all his staff because they were seeing me every day. So
this boy has always come. You want to see me staff.
So on that particular day, when I met the minister, I told him I've been coming here. This is my 23rd time.
Hey.
He said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want you to write the foreword of my book. That is all." Interestingly, he wrote the foreword of my book. Yeah, we became friends at the point that when I even got admission into the university, he would send his driver from Lagos to Ado-Ekiti to bring foodstuffs for me. So for me, I was like, good, I can do it. I mean, if I can do it at this age.
What did Daddy say?
Well, of course, what did he do? He was proud of his son. So that has actually encouraged me. So
you've always been an adventurer at heart. And very daring.
It has always been part of me. It has always been part of me.
If I may remember, one of the ways I met you, the first time I met you was when Mr. Pelu was doing his book launch of one of his books.
Okay.
I think it was the White Lagos.
Okay.
It was holding at Jackal House at the railway station.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, when I came in, he told me that I was having the fork, and I came with my daughter. She was my handbag then. And I read a part of his book. So I said, go around, people are here. So I went to the garden part. That's where I met Mr. Adedeji. Olaleko. We spoke. Then I just turned. I saw a table full of banknotes, coins, stuff. Hell, my heart jumped. Oh my gosh! Who have I seen that has more collections than me? Oh my goodness! And I walked there, and I saw you just looking very calm. I said, "Sorry, please. Who owns all this collection of banknotes, coins?" And I saw Biafra money. I said, "Biafra money." I said, "No. Who is the owner?" And he can say, "Hello, young lady." I said, "Hello, sir." I said, "You own all this?" He said, "Yes, I own all these." I said, "Hello, I need to come and raid your museum."
You know, the amazing thing is this. I started collecting I went into collection 1974. In fact, practically every
1974.
74 years. Practically everything I've done started in the 70s. I
Where did you
was
get inspiration
I was the
from?
strange guy in my, in fact, the
I'm
wild
sure you
guy
are.
in my
I'm sure
village.
you are the. I don't know.
Everybody was like,
Who is
that's
this
that
guy?
strange
This
boy.
strange
That guy
child.
is always
This
doing
weird
strange
human
things.
being.
For my coins, I used to go to the riverside where they do rituals. You know, in the
Uh-huh.
village they do
So
rituals by
that
the
so
river,
so coins
and they
will
use
get them.
coins to do rituals. I'll go and
Oh.
pack the coins,
Ah.
and
Oh, you are so
my friends
bold.
will be like, "Oh my God, mommy water is going to catch in the night." I say, "She'll come in the
Mommy,
night."
So that's when you started your collections.
That was when
From
I
Mommy
started.
Water.
I'm telling you. And when I eventually came to Lagos in the 80s, as in when I finished secondary school, I came to Lagos. I visited a friend in Idiaraba. And amazingly, I saw a lot of beggars on the streets. And they were begging for money. And they had this plate, with coins. They'll be
Coins
shaking.
inside.
So I would just go and peep into the coin. Oh my God, look at old coins. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to I'll give you 1 naira you can use to buy food, but I want to pack your old coins. They said, no problem. So I kept packing all their old coins, which is not valuable to them. Yeah, it was so valuable to me.
Wait.
And today,
Wait, sir.
I can
Wait,
actually
please,
give you
sir.
exactly
Wait,
the
hold
number
on,
of
please.
coins that
Wait,
I
wait,
have.
hold on, sir.
But I can tell you I have over 3 to 4,000
So you're
coins.
telling me, the two way you collected coins. First, mommy water. Everybody do their rituals. You are going to go and steal
I'm telling you.
coins and then give
No, I
to the
wasn't stealing. No, I wasn't
to
stealing.
give
No,
to the
I
goddess
went. I told
of
mommy
the
what I
water.
said. Since you cannot use the coins, let me help you keep
you
them.
Then number two, beggars.
Beggars.
You give them notes.
Yeah.
1 naira.
I give them the current money,
Current
which is
money,
useful to them. Then I
and
take the
carry-
one that is not useful to them.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
wait, if you didn't tell me this story, I'll say it was a lie. By the way, guys, so we are doing what we call banknote swap. Those of you who are watching on YouTube.
Okay.
So Dr. Raf asked me to please give him nairas. I didn't know this thing, sir. Until you mentioned it that day.
Okay.
That our money has.
You'd have actually
different
told me to bring my
years.
collection. I would have just brought my
Abi,
album. Yeah, so
I
you could just see.
show them
I'm
off and
telling
make
you,
some
yes.
people jealous. So I went to check my collections and I found I have some naira notes that he doesn't have the year. So each year, I think they bring out different notes
every
different year. So he asked for a particular year, so I brought my own to give him. Then I gave him Sudanese dinar. I grew up in Khartoum, Sudan. So I gave him some of our old money. This money now cannot be used in Sudan, so don't even come and try and steal it from him. Okay? And then he gave me Biafra money. Don't be jealous when you see my collection. Don't come near me either. And this is really beautiful stuff because people call me weird because I collect monies and coins. I started doing this when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
My daddy worked in the UN and he used to travel a lot. So when he comes back, while he's there, he'll send us postcards. Then when he comes back, he'll bring stamps and coins and money and he'll keep them like that. Can I have them? So no problem. So I became his collector. So anytime he had that, and when he died, I inherited. My mama said, "Now you like this kind of thing. Come and carry all this. If not, I'll throw it to her." I said, "Hey, don't throw it away. Don't throw it away. Just give them to me." Why do you collect coins, and what really inspired you to start doing all that, sir? And how has that helped when it comes to your travel and tourism passion?
Okay, let me start with postage stamp. Okay, postage stamp was because as a young guy, I used to be a letter writer in my village. Most elderly people called me to come and write letters for them, or also come and read letters.
Yeah.
So for every time I do that, the only thing I request from them is the envelope.
Okay.
I'll tell them, you keep the letter, I'll take the envelope because of the postage stamp. I was just fascinated by the colors of stamps. That's just it. Nothing else. Yeah, that's it. Then for the coins, maybe because, probably fascination too. I keep wondering, why is it that there's a coin that is different from another one? So I wanted to have all of them. And I recall very well, my grandma used to have Biafran coins, a whole lot of Biafran coins. And at the point in time, there was this rumor in the village that police were going house to house to search for those that have Biafran coins. My grandma packed everything and gave it to me to go and bury in our farm. Wow. So I went to go and bury it. In fact, the biggest challenge I had collecting coins is Biafran coins. Even when I went back to the village, I went to the spot where I buried it to go and search for. I didn't find it. Probably somebody saw me and dug it out and all that. So that encouraged me to start collecting. Then eventually I came to Lagos, I think around 1984 or so. I went to the general post office at Marina to buy stamp. And I told the cashier that I wanted old stamps. And she asked me, said, "Are you a stamp collector?" I actually never knew there were other people as mad as I was.
As you. Don't worry,
And she said, yes. She said, "We have old stamp. Are you a collector?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Have you been to the philatelic club?" I said, "Where is that?" He said, "It's behind Marina." Do you know, I didn't wait for her to finish talking. I flew. And when I got to the philatelic club, the moment I opened the door, I saw a lot of people, whites. So I was a bit confused. I mean, I was young.
Yeah,
so I wanted to go back. I was like, okay, I'm there. So I opened the door and somebody asked me, said, "Hey, are you a collector?" I said, "Yes." Says, "Is it your first time?" I said, "Yes." And she announced it. Said, "We have a new collector in the house." And everybody was like, "Hey!" They started clapping. I was like, "Oh my God." So we are so many mad people here, right?
Yes.
And that day, I met quite a lot of people who gave me stamp, not exchange, because I didn't even go with my stamp. Yeah, so everybody was like, "Here, take." People were donating stamp. I said, "Oh, really?" Okay, so I have to continue this madness.
Only white people you saw?
Well, of course, they were Nigerians.
But
I mean,
they
were not much as the whites we have there. So that actually encouraged me. Then much more later, I started reading about stamps, and I get to discover that there's a whole lot of money attached in stamp collecting. I said, "Oh, wow, I never knew." So today, as I talk to you, I have Nigerian postage stamps complete from 1960 to date. I don't have anyone missing.
Wow.
I have orders before 1960. I don't know how complete those ones are, but from 1960, October 1st to date, I have it complete.
Do you have extra so I can swap?
Yeah, not even swap. I can actually give you some. But if you recall, I've actually told you before I wanted to give you stamp. It's just that you're always very busy and don't really have time to get those things. Until you decide to concentrate that you want to collect. No wahala.
See, I have someone that wants to come to your museum. I told that we are going to both take a day off. Go home early in the morning and then we'll stay there till the evening.
I'll be there for all of you.
Now let's talk about CRIMMD, sir. That is your museum.
Yeah.
How did you start it? How old is it? What inspired you to start a museum? By the way, guys, you all have to visit that place. It's beautiful. What I mean beautiful? If you like history and you like collection, then that's the place you have to go to. If you want a proper museum that will show you the life of Nigeria itself, Ajala Nana's museum. Let me advertise it. It's the best.
Okay, thank you so much. The idea of the museum it didn't really just come. Nigeria was planning Nigeria at 100, which was supposed to be 2014. And from my own center, I was trying to do some research work that would actually fit in. Interestingly, I got in contact with Professor Tekena Tamono of blessed memory now, who was the chairman of the Centenary Committee, and we got talking, and I told him I wanted to be part of the committee. He said he was going to bring me in as a subcommittee member. So I told him I had projects I was working on. One of them was a book, 100 Women of the Century. And the second book was dates and events of the century. Now, dates and events of the
century.
Yeah, all of them is Nigeria.
You still have the books, sir?
I'm coming to it now. Now, dates and events was going to chronicle events that happened January 1st, 1914, January 2nd, 1914, January 3rd, 1914, like that up till 2014. That was my idea. In fact, that is my idea, and that is actually how it is. The book is written but not published because it run up to about 3,000 pages. It became so capital intensive for me, and I wanted government to take over. But I discovered along the line that the government official that I was introduced, because I was asked to meet with the secretary to the federal government then, I traveled down to Abuja. I met with Pius and his team members. They were more interested in taking over my manuscript. And Prof had told me, said, whatever happens when your manuscript goes out of your hand is your business. Don't come and call me. So I was also doing all I can to protect it. So eventually, the book wasn't out. But in the course of working on the manuscript, I came across thousands of photographs that can tell Nigerian story. And I said, okay, there's no way all these photographs are going to go into the book. So why don't I just do something else? Look for how to document these photographs. So that was how the idea of running initially a photo museum came up. So my target was to run a photo museum. So I started with the first 5,000 photographs. Something went wrong. My system crashed. I lost 5,000 photographs. I became so discouraged. And one spirit was like, hey, you did it the first time, you can do it again. So I started all over. And at that point in time, I started traveling. I bought 2 cameras. I gave one of them to my staff. And I said, okay, wherever we're going, we'll have to travel. Let's take as many shots as we can. If we see any books, old newspapers, old magazines, we'll retake photographs that we can keep to tell the story. And today, as I talk, I think I have close to 47,000 photographs of Nigerian history. So I started framing and placing them in the museum. Then, unfortunately, my space was small. And when I discovered that the space wasn't going to fit in with what I was doing, I stopped. So I started putting them in soft copies. But now, the museum have gone beyond photographs. So we now have artifacts. And what I'm doing there is anything, everything that can tell Nigerian story.
So that means even a national museum is not as rich as your own.
Well, I wouldn't want to say that on air so that the National Museum people are my bosses. But you see, now this is the difference. Let me explain this.
What's the difference?
Nigeria presently have about 52 national museums and monuments across the country,
Yes,
and generally, I think we have about 94 museums or so nationwide, both private and the national ones. I am doing something different from what others are doing. The National Museum, for example, are focusing more on traditional and cultural artifacts, like our artworks. I'm not doing artwork because I don't want to compete with them. But I'm doing things that once you see them, you'll be like, oh my God, yeah, I think I remember this. Like the kind of things that my grandmother or my moms or my dad used when they were growing up, like the currency, for example. I should say in good authority, I am probably competing only with the Currency Museum in Abuja. In terms of currency. In terms of postage stamp, probably I'm competing with the Philatelic Club. Those are the two I can think of. Then I have so many other items that ordinarily you don't expect to see in a museum. I have bottles. For now, I think I'm the only one collecting bottles across the country. I have 222 different bottles of brands of drinks that have been taken in Nigeria. Some of these bottles, when I even run into, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know when they took this. But point is, we are preserving it. We're going to use it to tell a story when tomorrow comes. So that's what my museum is doing.
I think that's where the Western world usually beats us.
In fact, I went online to look at the Smithsonian Museum, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not really mad because that is what Smithsonian is doing.
So don't worry, am I not here?
When I started collecting bottles, I remember I posted it once, and somebody commented, he said, your mates, they drink beer, you collect the bottle.
I remember I joined one club online. It's called Post Crossing. You get to swap postcards with people from different countries. So I was the only Nigerian that was active. So everybody wanted a postcard from me.
Really?
It was hard to keep up. And anytime I got, because my postal address was my office there when I was working. Anytime they got my envelope, they would come and say, Madam, you're not all right. So. Who are these people? You do know them. They're sending you postcards, stamp, coin, money, and you're sharing with them. Are you all right?
But that's actually the beauty.
No, let me tell you what happened. When Forbes Africa reached out to me to feature my madness, that's when they say, so this your madness get sense. I said, what people used to abuse me those days. Now, Forbes Africa called me, feature me there. Yes, this madness is a maddening hobby.
Yeah, across the world is a big deal. It's only over here we don't appreciate things like this.
They make money out of
now,
it.
most of the research work I'm doing now on Nigerian history, I'm actually using postcards.
Yes.
Postcards are my major evidence to prove that some of the things they taught us were wrong. Take the story of amalgamation, for example. I was able to confirm that the January 1st, 1914 amalgamation date is wrong based on postcards. Because I got postcards that were sent before then, and I was looking at the crossing date on the postcards and the date of the stamp when they were issued and when they were delivered.
Wow. And that's because you took your time to actually research.
And because I also collect postcards.
Yeah.
If not, I wouldn't know. I also go with the general belief of what they've told us about amalgamation of 1914.
It is, well, that means there's a lot of work to do when it comes
to a whole lot of work.
I remember during the Mr. Pelu's pop-up party, somebody mentioned something about the history, and you got up and like, we need to research.
And I'm saying it strongly. I keep saying it. You see, we are in a country that don't value what we are.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I am one of those who strongly believe that the world, the creation started in what is called Nigeria today.
Why do you believe that, sir?
There's a whole lot of evidence. There's the Queen Sheba thing I talked about that day, the lady was like, now I'm not against her argument and her presentation, but the point is this: have we ever asked ourselves this question? Queen Sheba, the Israelites traveled for 40 years. From where were they traveling for 40 years to where? From where? Because she was saying how did Queen Sheba move from Ogun State to Ethiopia, whatever. Now, where were the Israelites traveling from for 40 years?
Egypt.
From Egypt to where? So these are things we need to ask. Yeah. And I've repeatedly said one thing. When we're doing history, let us forget the fact that we have Abia State, we have Ogun State now. There was no states. There were not, it was just one entity. Again, the name Africa, before now, the whole continent of Africa was called Ethiopia.
That's true.
That is the argument I keep presenting. So if the whole continent of Africa was called Ethiopia, and you said Queen Sheba is from Ethiopia, you're equally saying Queen Sheba is from Africa. Where in Africa? There's evidence in Ogun State. Why are we denying it? Why don't we work on researching to prove these facts?
You know, I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was young.
Well, I wish you were, and we met now.
You know, those days, they wouldn't encourage you. When you say you want to be an artist and archaeologist, say poor man's job, you make money. You don't know that these things in the long run are one of the things that are helping us to preserve our history. I wanted to read archaeology. Who knows? I may have helped you prove this thing.
No, but I'm actually working on it. Okay. The iron melting site that was discovered somewhere in Nsukka is the oldest in Africa. And I'm arguing. I said, if it is the oldest in Africa and civilization started in Africa, invariably it is the oldest in the world. So, there's some argument. We have to see, there have to be a team. Government, interesting, wonderful government. Government should set up a team that can go to Aguleri and Umuleri to go and study them. Let's find out what is happening.
I read about Aguleri. I'm from Anambra State. I did not know about it.
I strongly believe that life started in Aguleri.
I had to go meet her. We're from Anambra. I don't know Aguleri. I said, I've never heard of this before. I know she was describing their way of life and everything, that they have 2 kings. Me and Anambra guy, no. So those are the kind of histories we need to share. So let me go to one of the things I want us to talk about as we wrap this up. So I know there's a trip you did one time where you went around Nigeria. Please correct me. You decided you wanted to travel around Nigeria and explore it. I can't remember if that's it. Yeah. So what encouraged you to do that, and how was the trip? How long did it take? What was the goal? Yes, I think that's the question.
Okay, I've actually done Nigeria twice now. I've gone through the states 2 times.
All 36 states.
Yes.
Hey,
2 times.
That's my dream.
It's achievable. It's achievable. One thing I would advise you not to do is don't do it at a stretch. It's gonna shake you. Yeah, it's gonna shake you. I was planning to do like a whole year. No, mine took about 6-7 years. And what I was doing is, whenever I am free and I have the resources to take care of myself while on tour, I take off.
How long do you stay normally in those places?
Some days I spend just a night. It depends on, because what I do is, when I'm going, I would have mapped out the tourist sites I'm going to visit.
Exactly.
And I enjoyed doing my tour alone because I want to do more research work and ask questions. So that was what I did. I pick states that are near each other. For example, if I was going to go to the east, I could do Abia, Imo, Enugu. Then I come back to Lagos. Then after some time, I do a second tour.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so what was the aim? Why were you going to those places?
I was trying to know Nigeria. Yeah, get as much information as I can. Like I said, I chronicle some tourist sites, so I needed to visit them, so that if I'm going to talk about a particular site, I don't want to tell you what I read on the internet.
You want to tell what you experienced.
What I experienced, yes. Yeah. So that was it.
In fact, Mr. Pelu wrote on his book during his pop-up, said, Nene, do that documentary. Like, he wrote it down as, this is evidence. Because I've always had a dream of exploring the whole of Nigeria. I did my final year project on tourism development in Nigeria. That's when I knew that this is an industry that we need to tap in. Because just not one state doesn't just have one tourist site, not just 2, not just 3, so
many
much.
Of them.
And you know, if we really focus on this thing, see this Dubai, everybody shouting up and down, nobody will go there. Dubai, I'm not saying I don't like you guys. You guys are amazing. You're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. But we ourselves are running to all those other countries.
Improve what we have. And we're probably better than them.
Yeah, that's just the honest
One
truth.
of the craziest tours I did was my visit to the forest of 1,000 demons.
Where is that? Hey, doctor.
Like, seriously.
How do your children allow you to go to all
the first time I made a post, I said I was going to visit the forest. A lot of those who are very close to me started calling my wife.
Yes,
they told her not to allow me to go and all that. So my wife was like worried. So I said, okay, I'm not going again. I cancelled it. So after about 2-3 weeks, and I know everywhere has settled down, I said I was traveling. I was going on a tour. I didn't tell her where. So I went to the forest of 1,000 demons.
Where is that, sir?
It's somewhere in Ondo.
Yes. So how long did you stay in that 1,000 demons?
No, I think I spent about 2 or 3 hours in the forest.
Okay.
Now, but this is the most interesting thing. When I say people...
Did you go alone?
Just me and my bike man.
Okay, who was your tour guide?
Yes. Okay. It was really a tour. It was just a bike man. No, he stayed with me. I paid him to stay with me throughout the tour. Then the chief priest took us to the mountain. Okay. But the interesting thing is this. I saw a demon. And when I said, people were like, are you just exaggerating? I said, no. Now, why did I say I saw a demon? When we climbed, it took us averagely about an hour plus to get on top of the mountain.
Okay.
When we got to the top of the mountain and the chief priest was taking us around, he took us to the market of the demon. There's a market on top of the forest where he claims that is where the demons buy and sell. And I was like, what do they sell?
What are they selling?
I mean, I don't know. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
So while we were there, we saw an old woman, a very old woman.
Okay.
And the old woman was addressing the chief priest as my daddy. And this chief priest should probably be in his 40s.
Okay.
And he was calling her my daughter.
All right.
And that woman shouldn't be less than 80 to 90, if not more than that.
Okay.
And I asked myself, how did this woman climb on top of this mountain? I knew the pain it took me to get there.
As a young man.
Yes. Now, at that point in time, the woman left us. Then my eyes started itching me. And my bike man was telling me, said, sir, your eyeballs are red. So the chief priest turned and looked at me and said, oh, the demon have a message for you.
Okay.
Well, he said the spirits, not the demon. He said the spirits have a message for you. So, and he asked me to close my eyes. And I was scared. Why would I close my eyes?
In front of this
I was just me. So I moved 2 steps back away from him. I was calculating even if he has to take any action before he gets close to me. So I closed my eyes, then I opened it. And honestly speaking, my eyeballs cleared, became white. He asked, he said, did you see anything? Anybody? I wasn't sure, but I said vividly, I think I saw an old man with beards. He described who the person is. It fits into what I think I saw.
Okay.
Now, by the time we now climbed down the mountain and we're going, I saw the same old woman.
That old woman that was upstairs.
Yes. She came downstairs before us and she was now picking palm nuts. And she had pods of cola nuts. You know, I think she harvested somewhere. So I was interested in taking photograph of the cola nut, the pod of the cola nut. So I rushed. I've actually picked it. Before it dawned on me that, oh boy, like I say, don't pick spirit cola nut again. So I got stuck halfway, holding it. Then I now asked the chief, I said, please tell mama that I want to take the cola nut. And she smiled and said I should take. So I took picture with it and I dropped it. And the chief priest said, you can't drop it, you've taken it. You have to take it home. I'm like, wow. Okay.
You didn't ask for permission. You carry it.
Forcefully, I have to take it home. So I brought out 1,000 naira note and I gave the chief priest. I said, please help me give mama. For me, I was like, let me pay for it before they'll come and collect the money by another means. So that was it. So for me, I actually think and believe that I actually saw a spirit.
So you did see a spirit.
Yeah, but it was an interesting outing. Very, very interesting outing.
I don't need to ask you why you went. You're already good. I don't have to ask you where you went. But honestly, when I'm ready for this trip, sir, it's people like you I'm going to come and consult.
No wahala.
It's something I really
I've actually been
to
thinking
do.
to take some guys to go, because a lot of people after I narrated my story, a lot of people said they wanted to go there. Okay. But I think there are a lot of protocols, and I now understand the state government is now involved. You have to go and get permission and all that.
I'm sure somebody must have done something. That's why they will do
exactly.
that, all that. All right, sir. So let's go to a little personal about you. 3 things that people need to know about you or people don't know about you. Those 3 things.
I don't think there's anything that people don't know about me because I am
our
very, very
listeners,
open.
some people may not know. So please
okay, I'm from Abia State. My wife is from Ogun State. She's a princess from Ogun State. Some people say they don't talk about number of children. I have 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. My
Beautiful kids, by the way.
My first daughter is the youngest published author in Africa and second published in the world. My second daughter also wrote her first book at the age of 6, wow. 5+. Wow. My second daughter wrote her first book at the age of 11. Wow. My son started taking photograph at the age of 5.
And he's taking one here now.
Yes, and he was voted as the official photographer of NAFEST, Benin. Yeah, and he's also recognized as the youngest professional photographer in Nigeria.
So you know what you did? You went to talk about your children. You talk about yourself. But
really? Okay.
It's part of me. They are yours. So I thought they are yours. It's fine. It's all right, sir.
Okay.
So what advice do you have to those listeners, especially those who want to come into the tourism space, those who are already inside, and those of us, the elder ones like you? What advice do you have for these 3 sets of people?
Okay. One thing I'm going to say, and I've repeatedly said about for those of us who are working into tourism and trying to promote tourism, is please let's get our information right. Yeah. I do a lot of tours where I discover that I visit a particular place, I end up being the one telling the people there about their own history. It shouldn't be like that. Yeah. Whomever you're going to place in a position to educate people, you should at least educate that person well enough to know what to tell people and tell them the facts. It's strange. I walked into the Calabar Museum some years back, and I was telling them to remove a portrait they put inside their own museum, which the curator told me the portrait had been there for more than 13 years. I said the information there is wrong. How are you telling me that Margaret Ekpo is the woman that led the Aba Women's Riot, when I know she did not.
Oh.
Margaret Ekpo was just a young girl, 13 years old as of 1929 when the riot started. So, for those who are going to tourism, please, if you're just going to take people to a site and let them have fun, is a different ball game. Not to, But if you're going to start telling them history, do a little research to know what you're going to tell people, so you can tell people the facts.
Okay. Anything else for we that are already there? We young ones are already there, and then of course the elder ones.
Well, the same thing applies to everybody. Let us get it right. Let's tell our narratives the right way, so that when we're telling it to foreigners, they'll go home with the right information.
All right,
for me, that is what I think we should do.
All right. Any last words, sir?
Visit CRIMMD Museum of Nigerian History. We are the pioneer private history museum, and we are the best. We are not just saying it. You need to come to us and see what we have.
Yeah. I agree, guys. You should. I'm not just advertising for advertising sake, because he's my tourism daddy. I have been there at least 2 times, and I owe him. I owe him more visits. So please come and join me. Let's go there. All right. So thank you very much for being here. God bless you.
You're most welcome. And let me also use this opportunity to say thank you so much for me. It's actually a big privilege. I'm saying it for the first time. Like, seriously, look at it this way. No, hold on. She's Ajala Nene, and she voted me as Ajala Nana. It's a big deal for me, so I really do appreciate it. Thanks so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Thank you guys for listening and for watching. See you in the next edition.